London, February 11, 2026. In a major move toward openness and accountability, Prince William issued an unprecedented statement today, confirming that the British royal family is fully cooperating with the American Internal Revenue Service regarding its probe into the Archewell Foundation and its subsidiary, Associated Commercial Ventures. Standing at the south entrance of Marlborough House at 10 a.m., William spoke to the international press with a calm demeanor, legal precision, and firm resolve. Do not misinterpret our silence as agreement. The Crown does not support, fund, or affiliate itself with the Archewell Foundation or its branches. Our duty is to safeguard the constitutional standing of this institution, and we will operate with total candor whenever that standing is challenged. This event, while outwardly diplomatic, represents a unique constitutional move by the future king. Prince William, acting as the face of the Crown's future and its present leadership, stepped up to address rising global questions regarding whether the monarchy had any past ties to Archewell, the troubled non-profit started by Prince Harry and primarily run by Meghan Markle. The IRS audit officially launched on February 9, 2026, with a formal inquiry sent to the palace, His Majesty's Treasury, and the Royal Trust asking for answers on three specific issues. First, if any British royal entity ever gave financial or symbolic backing to Archewell. Second, if any royal titles or symbols were used in American business dealings without authorization. And third, if there was any deliberate deception regarding royal endorsement in U.S. tax and fundraising documents. This probe followed the emergence of a debated quote from Meghan Markle at the 2023 Aspen Impact Forum, where she claimed, "Archewell reflects not only our family but a heritage of service the Crown passed down to us." American regulators flagged this as possibly deceptive, sparking a deep dive into Archewell's tax filings, donation statements, and related marketing efforts. Specifically, the luxury label, As Ever, which Meghan rolled out in 2024. Worries regarding the use of royal language and logos resembling British monarchy property sped up the investigation. Less than 48 hours after getting the IRS letter, Sir George Lellis, head of the Royal Trust, greenlit a high-level video conference between the IRS International Tax Crimes Division and senior palace attorneys and finance officers. The online session, held on February 14th, resulted in swift transparency, confirming that no sovereign grant money, charitable trusts, or palace allowances had ever been sent to Archewell. Official files from the Palace Communications Office proved internal warnings were issued in May and September of 2024 regarding the unauthorized use of royal-style imagery on Meghan's As Ever packaging. Marketing, materials, and legal documents showed no licensing or endorsement rights were ever given to Archewell or any related U.S. entities to use the Duke or Duchess of Sussex titles for commercial gain. An insider claimed the IRS was shocked by the pruder depth of the documentation and how prepared the royal compliance team was. According to the Washington Post, one IRS agent called the call the most honest cross-border nonprofit audit collaboration we have ever seen from a legacy institution. On February 16, 2026, a private, high-stakes face-to-face meeting took place at Clarence House between Prince William and Peter Howard, the Senior Director for International Tax Crimes at the IRS. The meeting, which ran just under 2 hours, wasn't for show. It was strictly business. William was joined by the palace's chief counsel, the Royal Trust's ethics director, and a top official from the Treasury. Howard came with a legal liaison from the U.S. Embassy and IRS financial compliance auditors. The agenda covered 6 specific issues the IRS submitted beforehand: the improper use of the Duchess of Sussex title in U.S. tax filings, evidence of misleading suggestions of royal backing in donation requests, Commercial, packaging mimicking royal gift styles and logos. A historical audit of funding, connections or the lack thereof between the Crown and Archewell. Clarification on any diplomatic claims the Sussexes made, overseas, and the log of communications between the Palace and Sussex representatives from 2021 to 2025. Witnesses confirmed that William was decisive, articulate, and tactically steady. At one point, he reportedly answered a question about reputational harm by saying, "The royal family cannot be reduced to a marketing gimmick. We are guardians of a constitutional heritage, not actors in a storyline built for private profit." Notably, William repeated sentiments previously held by Queen Elizabeth II and the late Prince Philip. You have to understand that public service isn't the same as building a brand. The choice to release a statement on February 11th, right before the IRS finished their full audit, was calculated. Palace insiders confirmed the move was meant to hit three specific goals. First, calm down taxpayers in the UK and the Commonwealth by proving the monarchy has zero financial or symbolic ties to Archewell. Second, make the Crown's position crystal clear before the legal battles start in the States. And third, show they are playing ball with international regulators, matching the standards set by both the Treasury and U.S. authorities. William's speech laid out three core rules that are basically palace law now. First, the institutional firewall. No member of the royal family, whether active or former, can hint at an endorsement just to make a quick buck. Second is ethical neutrality. The monarchy has to stay out of politics, out of business, and constitutionally above personal gain. Finally, the duty to disavow. If a private hustle leverages royal connections without permission, the Crown reserves the right to shut it down publicly and legally. These rules, spoken first, then published hours later, in a document called The Statement of Institutional Separation Between Archewell and the Crown, were instantly fired off to charity watchdogs, branding regulators, and non-profit commissions across the U.S., the U.K., and Canada. By noon, the speech was front-page news. The Guardian ran with William's royal firewall. The Crown draws the line on Archewell. The Times went with From Trust to Truth, Prince William's historic institutional declaration. Over in the States, the New York Times headlined it, A Future King's Statement, A Present Reckoning, William's Intervention in IRS Probe. As of February 11th, the royal household has started gearing up for a potential Privy Council meeting to look into the legal standing of the Sussex titles. An insider near Buckingham Palace verified that King Charles has basically given the green light to move forward with legal reviews, if more evidence of misuse comes to light. While the royal family is busy reinforcing these boundaries, the deep dive into the Archewell Foundation's books has picked up speed, uncovering weird structural issues and spending habits that made U.S. officials bump the investigation up to a fraud review. Per the IRS audit papers, Archewell's 2024 tax filings showed a worrying gap between money coming in, running costs, and actual charity work. The foundation listed total donations at $2.1 million, a steep drop from $5.3 million in 2023. Total expenses hit $5.1 million. Real charitable grants? Only $1.2 to $5 million. Paychecks for just two staffers totaled $913,000. Meanwhile, admin and security fees racked up $2.9 million. This meant that over 75% of Archewell's budget was burned on overhead, not helping people. One IRS agent pointed out that for a charity with so few programs and staff, the spending looks more like a private corporation than a nonprofit. The payroll section really raised eyebrows. Archewell only lists 2 full-time employees, yet together they pulled in nearly $1 million in pay. Reportedly, neither person has executive-level experience running a nonprofit, which is fueling fears of funds being misused. However, The biggest bombshell didn't come from the foundation, but from Meghan Markle's tied-in luxury label, American Riviera. Kicked off in 2024 as a lifestyle business based on values, it started with a lot of hype and glowing reviews. The brand showed off jams, candles, herbal teas, and home decor, all looking suspiciously like royal heirlooms. The packaging used stylized crowns, serif fonts that matched royal stationery, and slogans like "By Royal Ritual" and "Inspired by Legacy." Critics immediately flagged that the design looked like a copy of Windsor gift wrap and official branding. Early reports claimed everything sold out in hours, but a technical glitch in the site's code exposed the reality. Stock levels were basically untouched, with over $23 million worth of merchandise sitting in North American warehouses. To be precise, there were 137,455 boxes of fruit preserves, thousands of monogrammed candles, 44,000 jars of Windsor orange marmalade, 80,000 floral sachet bags, and countless peppermint tins. In one specific 24-hour window, on January 30th and 31st, the brand moved just 26 units. Even with a birthday promo tied to Meghan, the IRS determined that Archewell's abrupt pivot in June 2025 to a fiscal sponsorship setup, putting it under another nonprofit's wing, was a calculated play to avoid detailed public financial audits, while donations tanked and media heat rose. The timing of this shakeup points to evasion, not efficiency. A legal memo from the IRS notes, this pattern tracks with entities trying to hide operational failures. As the lifestyle brand flopped, Commercially and Archewell set off transparency alarms. The British royal family's drive to separate themselves reached a boiling point. William's declaration on February 11th didn't just clarify the palace's stance, it was a firewall built to shield the monarchy from what American watchdogs are labeling a calculated breakdown of public faith. In the wake of deep-dive audits into the Archewell Foundation, and with regulatory eyes now watching more aggressively than ever, the Internal Revenue Service has verified major financial discrepancies and currently treats both organizations as active fraud targets. This legal showdown boils down to two linked problems: the unapproved leveraging of royal status for profit and charity clout, and intentional branding designed to mislead shoppers and contributors. Right after Prince William's announcement on February 11th, attorneys for the Royal Trust slapped a formal cease and desist order on Evermark Collective Incorporated, the Delaware-registered holding company behind Meghan Markle's lifestyle venture. The document listed several infractions: packaging and marketing copy that rips off the visual style of official British royal souvenirs. It also flagged the illicit use of terms like Windsor blend or royal ritual, along with heritage-themed wording that attempts to cash in on the prestige of the monarchy. They also pointed out the use of crown logos, typography identical to Buckingham Palace's official stationery, and specific shades like royal blue and gold that are traditionally set aside for the crown. At the same time, the Palace's legal squad formally distanced themselves from the Archewell Foundation. They filed fresh paperwork with global watchdogs and American nonprofit registries, stating clearly that they never gave any stamp of approval, direct or otherwise, to Archewell. Furthermore, no aristocratic rank was ever cleared for tax documents, fundraising blasts, or commercial material. The palace noted that multiple demands to stop these practices were either blown off or twisted to suit their narrative. The Royal Trust moved fast to update its internal rulebook to back this up. They added 3 major clauses to their branding guidelines. First is the title usage review. Any use of titles after stepping down, whether honorific, regional, or ceremonial, linked to soliciting funds, hawking goods, or appearing in the media, now requires a green light from the Lord Chamberlain's office. Second is the symbolic affiliation audit. Any mention of the Crown, service to the country, historical legacy, or graphics resembling Windsor crests must be fully logged and revealed before going public. Finally, the institutional firewall clause. Any entity hinting that it carries on the royal family's mission must display a bold warning stating not affiliated with the British monarchy or the sovereign grant. These rules apply backward in time and cover every living ex-royal. Maybe the biggest talking point of the IRS probe is Meghan Markle's persistence in using the Duchess of Sussex moniker across press kits, websites, book jackets, podcasts, and merchandise, long after the pair quit their official roles in 2020. Although Meghan keeps the name as a formality, gifted by Queen Elizabeth II on her wedding day, it isn't cleared for business purposes. Prince William hammered this point home recently. He stated that Crown-granted titles aren't commodities to be traded. They aren't commercial shields or marketing gimmicks. They are responsibilities held for the people. His words held significant legal and symbolic power. Constitutional experts in the UK warn that keep cashing in on a royal name, especially while under an active global audit, might shift the issue from personal expression to false advertising. The IRS is now demanding paper trails proving Meghan signed off on products featuring the Duchess label, along with deals where the title might have leveraged partnerships, publishing payouts, or TV spots, plus any claims made to backers or corporate sponsors that suggest a current royal link. A specific note from the Palace's brand defense team, dated May 2024, bluntly states that keeping up this title usage without official backing could amount to fraud and justify a civil lawsuit under British trademark statutes. During a private summit at Clarence House on February 16, Prince William met with IRS agent Peter Howaren. Their six-part discussion zeroed in on symbol abuse, deceptive donation strategies, and Meghan's public comments about royal heritage. Insiders present at the meeting claim William laid out comparison photos showing as-ever wrappers next to authentic royal Christmas parcels from past seasons to prove the design theft. He also produced transcripts of Meghan's speeches from 2023 to 2025, flagging terms like continuing royal tradition and Windsor values. Furthermore, internal alerts dispatched from the palace to the Sussex team, starting in late 2021, demanded they drop certain graphics and language used in commercial deals. At one specific moment, Howaren questioned if the palace viewed these tactics as a reputational hazard. William's response was absolute. This isn't hypothetical. The damage has already landed, hitting donor confidence, public sentiment, and the global interpretation of what the monarchy stands for. We aren't talking, right now, to dodge the issue. We're working to fix it. After the summit wrapped, the IRS put out a formal confirmation of the royal family's assistance and released a compliance memo alongside His Majesty's Treasury. The wording was polite, but the takeaway was sharp. The probe would move forward, focusing exclusively on Archewell and Evermark, with the Crown completely exonerated. As legal heat increased, the official site went dark on February 18th, blaming technical updates. Major retailers like Fortnum & Mason, Harrods International, and Hudson's Bay verified they had paused distribution contracts. Warehouse managers in New Jersey and Ontario reportedly rejected additional stock storage, pointing to payment worries and liquidation headaches. Statistics from the IRS-backed forensic team exposed a total of over $23 million in unsold stock across North America. The absolute low point? The Windsor Orange Marmalade, 44,000 jars sitting in inventory. A marketing push linked to Meghan's birthday in January 2026 moved just 26 units in 24 hours. Regulators and royal analysts alike are now using the phrase strategic collapse of credibility. It perfectly captures the atmosphere in both Westminster and Washington. The Royal Trust is getting a formal submission ready for the Privy Council regarding title usage. Meanwhile, legal squads are writing up a civil lawsuit against Evermark for symbolic abuse and reputation destruction. The IRS is working in tandem with the United States Department of Justice to see if wire fraud or charity fraud laws are relevant to the Archewell situation. As the controversy heats up, Prince William is winning acclaim for leadership that is both forward-thinking and constitutionally sound. His approach, drawing a line rather than pulling a curtain, has totally overhauled how the monarchy handles modern crises. The summit on February 16th at Clarence House, combined with Prince William's public statement on February 11th, has solidified into a total institutional firewall. For the first time in modern memory, the royal family has enacted public, legal, and diplomatic measures to decouple its constitutional power from a former affiliate who is now the subject of an inquiry. The core of this firewall tactic is the concept of symbolic neutrality. It's the age-old constitutional rule that the Crown cannot be used to boost private, political, or business agendas. That rule, however, has been pushed to the breaking point by the Sussex camp's actions since 2020. William stepping in was the game changer. What started as a subtle step back has turned into a legally binding rejection. In the aftermath of William's announcement, a domino effect of disasters hit Meghan Markle's business interests. As predicted, the official website went offline, showing nothing but a maintenance screen. Key retail partners in the UK, Canada, and the US put a freeze on future product drops. A cease and desist order from the Royal Trust landed on the desk of Evermark's general counsel, insisting they immediately pull any packaging or ads that mimic royal styles. The IRS sent out a formal compliance alert, noting Archewell's persistent use of deceptive fundraising rhetoric. Several charity watchdogs, such as Charity Navigator and GuideStar, downgraded the organization's profile to show a pending federal audit status. Most damning of all, the IRS verified that more than 75% of Archewell's expenditures in 2024 were not mission-related. Instead, the money was heavily tilted toward travel, security, and marketing bills tied to Meghan's personal projects. The regulator's phrase, strategic collapse of credibility, has taken off in both the British and American press. Meghan isn't seen merely as an ex-royal or a charity figurehead anymore. She is now staring down the barrel of potential civil fines, total brand implosion, and broad institutional rejection. IRS auditors argue that the financial and symbolic knots tying American Riviera, Archewell, and the remaining Sussex titles constitute not just sloppy management, but a deliberate mix of royal prestige and private gain. This verdict was backed up by an internal email from a former Archewell executive assistant who is now working with federal agents. The message outlined a strategy of selective transparency, post-royal branding efforts, and attempts to keep donors on the hook using legacy terminology. Simply put, the royal connection was turned into marketing leverage. William's address made it crystal clear that there's no room for sentimentality when it comes to institutional integrity. When a journalist asked if he regretted the personal toll this might take on his brother, the Prince of Wales offered a brief, sharp response that was later picked up everywhere. There is no confusion about our duty. There is only disappointment that it has come to this, blasted across every news feed. There's zero confusion about the job description. The only regret is that things actually reached. This strategy, built on quiet, unshakable authority, is fast becoming the gold standard known as the Windsor method for modern leadership. Experts on the monarchy and legal scholars are in lockstep. The Crown refused to throw a tantrum. It didn't just take the hits. Instead, it straightened its back, handed over the receipts, and let the truth do the heavy lifting. Within days, two distinct gears started turning. First, a Privy Council assessment, driven by Prince William with the King's total backing. A serious inquiry into the continued usage of the Sussex titles is now active. Insiders report that legal teams are drafting briefs to decide if exploiting these ranks for profit or non-profit gain creates a valid reason to strip them away. Then there is the creation of the Civic Clarity Act. The Royal Trust, working hand in glove with constitutional officers, is polishing a new rule book called the Civic Clarity Act. Its goal is to police how titles are handled, outlaw commercial knockoffs, and set clear procedures for cutting ties. While triggered by the Sussex situation, this doctrine acts as a permanent shield for the institution, guaranteeing that ex-royals cannot leverage historic terms or language without getting a green light first. The international reaction was immediate. Courts across Europe noticed, with high-ranking aides in Sweden and Denmark quietly applauding the British handling of institutional risk control. Stateside, the IRS put out a statement thanking the palace for its honesty, paperwork, and willingness to coordinate. The Wall Street Journal summed it up perfectly. The Crown isn't up for auction. It highlighted how William silently cemented a protective wall. The symbolic line is now written in law. The family isn't merely protecting a trademark. They are safeguarding the very meaning of service in the modern age. As the probe into the Archewell Foundation intensifies, shockwaves are hitting non-profit, political, and aristocratic circles. What started as a routine check on weird forms has exploded into an international debate regarding the messy crossover between celebrity branding and civic duty. The palace's rejection, stated openly by Prince William on February 11th and enforced legally right after, is already showing real results. Contacts at the UK Charity Commission and the IRS Foreign Compliance Unit say a combined US-UK team is busy auditing the backbone of Archewell's fiscal sponsorship setup and checking if the charity intentionally leveraged the royal brand to gather funds by faking credibility. At the heart of this legal battle is Archewell's quiet shift in June 2025 to a fiscal sponsorship structure. While that setup isn't technically against the law, it lets a smaller group hide under a big organization's tax-exempt status. It is meant for brand-new projects, not world-famous brands connected to the royal family. IRS files marked this move as having shady timing. The switch flipped only weeks after news reports started asking hard questions about where Archewell's money was going and why grants were drying up. This pivot effectively blocked the public from seeing their full IRS Form 990, massively cutting down on transparency regarding their expenses. A specific note in the IRS review highlights that this reorganization looks planned to dodge oversight right when people started spotting financial holes and misleading claims. At the same time, Archewell's own data reveals a massive crash in supporter confidence, dropping from $13 million in 2021 to barely $2.1 million in 2024. Despite the revenue freefall, overhead costs spiked, while real charitable grants dipped below 25%. Back at the palace, aides are moving fast. An updated communications protocol now requires strict warnings for all outside deals made by non-active family members. It also creates a database to flag unauthorized royal terms, monitoring the web for anyone trying to cash in on words like the Crown, Royal, Standard, or the Windsor name. The Privy Council's legal experts have reviewed input from the Royal Trust, concluding that holding on to the Sussex titles while engaging in charitable deception might be a violation of the public faith via symbolic fraud. As one insider put it, it isn't merely the abuse of the name, it's the calculated effort to use crown-linked language to boost private endeavors. That destroys the public's belief in what service means. This comment highlights the bigger fear. If the boundary between duty and self-enrichment isn't fiercely protected, the the foundational trust in the monarchy might start to crumble. For Meghan Markle, the money on the line is skyrocketing. Whistleblowers from several warehouses claim there is more than $23 million in unwanted stock from her lifestyle business piling up. On top of her wholesale deals falling through, Meghan is looking at serious punishment under Title 26 of the U.S. Code for Tax Evasion and Lying. Then there is Title 18 for wire fraud and false pretenses. She could also be hit with violations of the California Nonprofit Integrity Act. If charged, she might face civil forfeiture of any diverted charity cash. Archewell could lose its tax-exempt status. Plus, private emails might be exposed during court proceedings. Big retailers and charity lists are already blacklisting the brand. The California Attorney General has also dusted off a cold case from 2023 regarding compliance, pointing to fresh proof of lies in state paperwork. Come February 20th, the palace is set to hand a formal request to the Privy Council, asking for a reassessment of the Sussex peerages. Legal scholars agree the Crown has the constitutional right to freeze or strip a dukedom if keeping the title hurts the reputation, legal standing, or stability of the institution or the country. It is a tricky situation, but sources say King Charles has already seen the proposed wording for the removal order and is ready to sign if the fraud is proven. This result could spark a first in recent history, a royal losing their status after leaving, specifically for breaking the rules of neutrality and financial ethics. As Prince William stated clearly in his speech, the institution has to stay out of the marketplace. Public service cannot be mixed with private business. His statement is now the definitive line between order and chaos. The barrier isn't just theoretical, it is being tested and reinforced. As February ends, Prince William's bold move marks a constitutional turning point, one that forever changes how the palace deals with the press and profit. This separation is no longer just a concept, it is a rule, and the fallout is still hitting three main areas: the law, the symbolism, and the organization. Just days after the meeting at Clarence House and William's speech, the Privy Council set up a special group to look into the legality and impact of taking away the Sussex titles. The main accusation is about the continued use of royal rank to get rich personally and engaging in shady fundraising. Lawyers are comparing this to the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917. That was originally used during war, but now serves as a guide for protecting the system's integrity during peacetime controversies. Even if they don't use that specific law, the underlying idea that rank requires service to the nation is driving the discussion. A top aide to William explained their stance as protective, not political. They are shielding the monarchy from bad press, legal confusion, and the exploitation of royal history. King Charles is keeping his distance publicly, but he reportedly has no issue with pulling the titles if the wrongdoing is verified. We expect a decision by March 2026. At the same time, the Archewell Foundation is in deep trouble. Agents from the IRS say the charity could lose its 501(c)(3) status for good. Any money not reported correctly, especially cash, used for bodyguards, flights, or publicity, could get hit with a 75% fraud fine. Secret files that were hidden by sponsorship loopholes could be subpoenaed if charges are filed. Oversight organizations like Charity Watch and ProPublica are teaming up to investigate the management disasters at Archewell, calling it a prime example of celebrity charity work gone wrong. On top of that, Meghan's business is staring down bankruptcy. Stores have canceled their deals. Unsold products are being written off, causing huge deficits. Forensic accountants looking at the books say the company is basically finished. This whole ordeal has been a major test for Prince William. As the heir to the throne, he hasn't just strengthened the ethical foundations of the crown. He has defined what being a royal isn't about. The palace's new rules on separation, signed by William and the Lord Chamberlain, now govern all associated charities and outside business attempts. The three main rules are being sent to Commonwealth nations, embassies, and media boards. Basically, no title if you don't do the work, no unsanctioned symbols, and no fake connections. In a private comment to the Times, William is quoted as saying, "The world has to know there's a boundary. Not every name matters, but ours has to bear this point." That transparency is now the monarchy's armor. When you boil it down, this wasn't ever strictly regarding revenue streams or fancy ranks. It was about defining true service and asking if birthright authority can be peddled, tweaked, or twisted without backlash. Prince William, by stepping up with hard evidence, self-control, and class, has reset the institution's moral compass. He proved the throne isn't a bargaining chip, and that nobility lacking, integrity is just playing dress-up. For Meghan Markle, the fallout might drag on in legal chambers and corporate offices, but for the royal family, this turmoil built something much stronger: a distinct legal stance, a shield for their brand, and a blueprint for leadership. The House of Windsor has finally put its foot down, and for global observers, one signal now resonates, from London all the way to D.C. The crown isn't up for auction, and nobody, Duchess included, is bigger than the mission.